Have you ever wondered about the mystery that is North Korea? Nestled in the heart of East Asia, North Korea, formerly known as the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, is a country that has intrigued and bewildered many for decades. It finds itself in a unique geographical setting, sharing its borders with some of the world's most powerful nations, China and Russia to the north, and South Korea to the south. To the west lies the Yellow Sea, while its eastern frontier is marked by the Sea of Japan. This strategic location has been instrumental in shaping North Korea's political, social, and economic narrative. But North Korea's story goes beyond its contemporary geopolitical standing. This nation, steeped in a rich cultural history, traces its roots back to 2333 BC with the foundation of Gojoseon. Since then, the Korean peninsula has seen the rise and fall of numerous dynasties, each leaving an indelible mark on the region's identity. The Goryeo dynasty, the Joseon dynasty, and the three kingdoms of Korea, Goguryeo, Baekje, and Silla, all played pivotal roles in shaping the course of the region's history. In 1910, Korea found itself under the rule of the Empire of Japan, a period that would last until the end of World War II. Following the war, Korea was carved into two distinct zones, with the Soviet Union occupying the north and the United States taking control of the south. Separate governments were formed in 1948, leading to the Korean War in 1950. Despite a ceasefire in 1953, a formal peace treaty remains elusive. Throughout these tumultuous times, North Korea has maintained its claim to be the legitimate government of the entire Korean peninsula, a stance that continues to fuel tensions in the region. A land shrouded in mystery, North Korea has a rich history that dates back to 2333 BC. Its enigmatic nature and complex past make it a fascinating subject of study, prompting us to delve deeper into the enigma that is North Korea. The roots of modern-day Korea trace back to the foundation of Gojoseon in 2333 BC. This marked the beginning of a long and rich history that would shape the nation as we know it today. The Goryeo dynasty, which began in the 10th century, brought with it a period of cultural and technological growth. This era witnessed the creation of the Tripitaka Koreana, a Buddhist scripture carved onto over 80,000 woodblocks, and the world's first metal movable type. Following the Goryeo dynasty was the Joseon era, starting in the late 14th century. This period was characterized by Confucian ideals, the creation of the Korean alphabet Hangul, and a centralized government system. Joseon was a time of social and institutional reform, laying the groundwork for the modern Korean culture. However, in the early 20th century, this long-standing sovereignty was disrupted. In 1910, the Empire of Japan annexed Korea, marking a period of harsh colonial rule. The Korean people faced cultural suppression and were forced to adopt Japanese customs and language. This period of occupation lasted until the end of World War II in 1945. With the conclusion of the war, the Korean peninsula found itself divided into two zones. The north was occupied by the Soviet Union, while the United States took control of the South. This division was meant to be temporary, a mere political convenience to facilitate the surrender of Japanese forces. However, as Cold War tensions escalated, it became increasingly permanent. In 1948, two separate governments were formed: the Democratic People's Republic of Korea in the north, under Soviet influence, and the Republic of Korea in the south, under American influence. This division was a clear manifestation of the ideological battle between democracy and communism that defined much of the 20th century. The world saw Korea split into two in 1948, a division that would lead to the Korean War. The year 1950 marked the onset of the Korean War. This conflict was not just a battle between North and South Korea, but a proxy war reflecting the larger Cold War tensions between the two global superpowers of the time, the United States and the Soviet Union. The Korean War was triggered by the invasion of South Korea by North Korean forces, with both sides claiming to be the legitimate government of the entire Korean peninsula. The war ground on for 3 long, brutal years, leaving scars that remain visible to this day. In the year 1953, a ceasefire was established, effectively putting an end to the active combat. However, it's important to note that a formal peace treaty was never signed, leaving the two Koreas technically at war till today. In the aftermath of the Korean War, North Korea found itself in a precarious position. The country, with its already fragile economy, was devastated and in dire need of assistance. This aid came from an unexpected source. The Eastern Bloc countries, led by the Soviet Union, who provided significant economic support to North Korea. This lifeline, however, would not last forever. With the fall of the Soviet Union in the early 90s, North Korea lost its major source of economic aid. The nation, already struggling with the aftermath of the war, was plunged into an even deeper economic crisis. The effects of this decline were far-reaching and severe, leading to a devastating famine in the mid-90s that claimed countless lives and left an indelible mark on the nation's psyche. A nation scarred by war, North Korea faced a severe economic decline in the wake of the Soviet Union's fall. This marked the beginning of a new chapter in North Korea's history, one characterized by economic hardship, international isolation, and an increasingly authoritarian regime. North Korea, a nation known for its totalitarian dictatorship. This is a land where power is concentrated in the hands of a few, with the Kim family at the helm. The Kim dynasty has ruled North Korea for over 70 years, establishing a cult of personality that is deeply ingrained in the fabric of the nation. The leadership, often portrayed as godlike figures, are revered and feared in equal measure, their portraits hanging in every home and public building. This totalitarian regime is marked by an absolute control over every aspect of life. The government dictates what citizens can read, watch, and even think. A pervasive surveillance system, coupled with a network of prison camps, ensures that dissidence is swiftly and brutally quelled. The regime's human rights record is widely criticized, with reports of torture, forced labor, and public executions surfacing time and again. North Korea's commitment to its military-first policy is another feature of its totalitarian regime. The nation's resources are heavily skewed towards its military, which is one of the largest in the world. This policy not only serves to maintain internal control, but also poses a significant threat to international security. The possession of nuclear weapons by North Korea adds a further layer of complexity to the situation. Despite international sanctions and condemnation, the regime has continued to develop its nuclear capabilities. The country's pursuit of nuclear weapons, often seen as a means of self-preservation, has escalated tensions in the region and beyond. The totalitarian regime of North Korea, despite its isolation, has an impact that reverberates across the globe. The combination of absolute power, a pervasive cult of personality, a dismal human rights record, a robust military, and nuclear capabilities make it a unique and challenging case. A country where power lies in the hands of a few, North Korea's regime continues to be a topic of global discussion. As we delve deeper into understanding this enigmatic nation, we are left with more questions than answers, a testament to the complexity and intrigue of North Korea. Despite its isolation, North Korea is a part of the global community. In the grand tapestry of international relations, North Korea may seem like an outlier, but it is far from being a recluse. It is a member of several international organizations, including the United Nations, Non-Aligned Movement, Group of 77, and the ASEAN Regional Forum. These memberships, while sometimes controversial, provide a platform for North Korea to engage with the world and assert its interests on a global stage. The Democratic People's Republic of Korea, as it is officially known, joined the United Nations in September of 1991, alongside its southern counterpart. Its UN membership has been a stage for both cooperation and conflict, with North Korea often at odds with the international community over issues such as human rights and nuclear proliferation. Beyond the United Nations, North Korea is also a part of the Non-Aligned Movement, a group of states that are not formally aligned with or against any major power bloc. It's a member of the Group of 77, a coalition of developing nations at the UN. Furthermore, North Korea participates in the ASEAN Regional Forum, a platform for security dialogue in the Asia-Pacific region. North Korea's relationship with other countries is a complex web of diplomacy, strategic maneuvering, and at times, outright hostility. It shares borders with China and Russia, two significant world powers, and has a tense relationship with its southern neighbor, South Korea. Despite its isolationist reputation, North Korea has shown a willingness to engage in dialogue and negotiations, particularly around its nuclear program. Speaking of which, North Korea's nuclear program has been a significant point of contention. The nation's pursuit of nuclear weapons, despite international condemnation and sanctions, has put it at the center of global politics. Its nuclear capabilities are seen as a major threat to global security, sparking ongoing debates on disarmament and non-proliferation. As we continue to grapple with understanding North Korea, it remains a compelling enigma on the world stage.